And the handshake is not a license so that you can bring confusion and propaganda. Profiling of government projects meant to benefit millions of Kenyans is in itself corruption. Umeshindwa na kupanga mambo ya upinzani, ya makelele, na kupinga, na mudomo. Wewe utakuja kutupangia mambo ya kuendesha serikali kwa njia gani?
In the last election, you said your competitors stole the Eurobond. Now you are accusing the person you perceive to be your future competitor as stealing money from dams.
Tonight on Newsnight, at one point it bore all the appearance. Right, that is the Deputy President William Ruto, and he's our guest on Newsnight, but we are his guests at his official residence in Karen. Deputy President, thank you so much for making time for us tonight.
Welcome, Hussein, again to the Hustler's Mansion.
I wonder how many will believe or think when they come here if this indeed is a Hustler's Mansion.
That was what it was called by the media.
But we'll talk.
It was not me.
We'll talk about all that later on. Of course, there's a lot happening in the country. We're talking about the state of the nation, war on corruption, handshake politics, government agenda, including the divisions you're seeing in the Jubilee Party. But let's start with war on corruption, Your Excellency. What has arguably dominated public discourse for a while now, both in government and outside. You seem to have reservations on the ongoing war on corruption. Why?
Let me tell you, Hussein, that the war on corruption is a government of Kenya agenda. The President and I decided that we are going to walk on the path of integrity. We did everything that we could to give teeth, to give facilities to all the anti-corruption agencies, EACC, DCI, DPP, and we provided resources, human, material, financial, to facilitate the work of these agencies. And for your information, that is a process that we have undertaken. And I remember we said this before, and many people told us we're not seeing results, right? So that is the government of Kenya program. I see some people come and try and say, oh, you know, we are the ones who have come to help Jubilee to fight corruption. That was our decision. They have contributed nothing in that fight. But, as you have said, there are people who want to hijack this fight against corruption and politicize it. And we do not want to be pushed like we were in the last term. For example, to dismiss people on account of allegations. We asked 6 ministers last term to step aside. None of them even made it to court because the allegations that were made did not have any basis. I see a repeat of almost the same thing. And
in this war?
I see a repeat of the politicization. You know, when you see politicians who are not witnesses, they are not investigators, they are not lawyers, they are not nothing, they are not working for these agencies. All of a sudden, in funerals and in every other fora, they are talking about this person is corrupt, that person is corrupt, this project is corrupt, that project is corrupt. Then, as a public servant and as Deputy President of Kenya, I have every reason. Because if we allow this to be hijacked and politicized, we will end up where it ended up before.
They are accusing you of the same thing.
We must take this war to its logical conclusion on the basis of facts, solid evidence, in courts of law, as was stated by the President last week.
I am assuming, because you have seen an exchange of words, the people you are referring to is Honorable Raila Odinga. And he is coming in through the handshake and what he's talking about the war on corruption. But we'll come to that. What you're saying, politicization of the war against graft, is what exactly you are being accused of. You're saying people should let these agencies do their job and not them to keep talking about funerals and whatnot about corruption. But this is you talking. For example, on 17th March 2019 in Kericho, you say watu wakora waende watumie ofisi ya DCI kuendesha porojo na propaganda inayolenga kuhujumu na kusabotage program ya serikali na dams na programs zingine kwa malengo ya kisiasa. It's the same area where MPs say they have no confidence in DCI, and you are there. So why would you make such remarks as the deputy president? I mean, at your level, the presidency, you're demeaning the Directorate of Criminal Investigation. You're actually saying the Directorate of Criminal Investigation is colluding with these people to bring about whatever you're saying, that is just about putting a blemish on government projects.
Hussein, as you have said correctly, I am the deputy president. Put simply, I am the deputy CEO, right? Mm-hmm. And when I make a statement, I don't make a statement in vain. And I don't make statements for the sake of making them. And in this interview, I am not going to discuss the DCI, right, in this interview. But let me tell you, when I referred to dams, you know, we made a deliberate decision as government to construct, and we put it in a manifesto.
And I'll come to
57
dams,
mega dams.
I'll come to that. My question is,
4,000 small dams.
You are undermining investigative agencies.
125,000 smallholder dams, ponds. That is in our manifesto. And let me tell you, Hussein, when I made that specific statement, it was against the background that we were being told that 21 billion shillings had been lost in one transaction involving two dams. This is Kimwarer and Aror. Mr. Hussein, you want to tell me that the government of Kenya, with Uhuru Kenyatta sitting as CEO and William Ruto sitting as deputy CEO, we lose 21 billion shillings in one transaction? Is that a government we are running, or is it a casino?
Right.
Really?
That is,
and you want me to sit and allow that kind of lie to continue?
That is not for me to say, Honorable
I am the deputy
Ruto.
president, and I owe it to the people of Kenya to set the record straight.
Fine, but my question is, this is an accusation you're making against the DCI. Watumie ofisi ya DCI. You're saying the DCI is in collusion with this agency you're talking about. My question is, Honorable Ruto, you are saying, or you are undermining an investigative agency. You have said before that people should not undermine institutions. They should respect institutions. For example,
Absolutely.
you talked about, I mean, just 2 years ago, you kept on saying NASA should respect the decisions of IEBC.
Absolutely.
You're doing the same thing right now.
What decision has DCI made?
They've not made a decision.
They have not made a decision.
What I am against,
and exactly what the president said on Thursday, is the creation of a narrative in the media. For your information, all this story we are talking about now, you do not have the information from the DCI. All this is the narrative that is being run in the media.
No, but the DCI,
whoever it is,
the DCI says investigating
whoever it is that is running this narrative in the media, these are the people who are actually undermining the investigations being carried out by DCI.
Okay.
And from where I sit as deputy president, if I find a false narrative going on in the media, it would be reckless and irresponsible of me not to correct. And I said it clearly. I said, the record, let us set the record straight.
Fine. But why don't you just let the DCI do their job? That's the question.
Has DCI told you that William Ruto has called him?
No. You're the deputy president.
No. Has DCI told you that William Ruto has interfered with the investigation?
No, but you're already casting aspersions about an investigation that is going on.
What I have said, and I have said it clearly, is I have set the record straight. I have said, for example, in Kimwarer and Aror, the government that President Uhuru Kenyatta and I ran cannot lose 21 billion.
Okay.
And I say that even as I sit here this evening.
So the question is, are you not jumping the gun? Who are we to believe? Let me just ask this question, Your Excellency. And with due respect to your position as the Deputy President, of course, you owe it to Kenyans to tell them about these projects and everything you know. But you are also a politician. And if we allow, as a country, politicians to say what they feel about these independent institutions, and especially at your level, what are we saying about the DCI? Should we just forget about the DCI saying? Because the DCI says they're investigating 21. DPP is saying they're going to they're investigating 21. You're saying it's 7 billion. Why can't you just allow them to conclude?
For your information, Hussein, I have not said the investigations should stop. I have not said I have said people, and I repeat here, people should not use the investigations going on to run a political narrative against the Jubilee administration. That one, as Deputy President, I will not accept. And I will set the record straight.
So what does that do to an investigation, an ongoing investigation?
It does nothing. I mean, the investigation will continue.
President.
Has the DCI stopped the investigation, to your knowledge?
I don't know, but would you rule out, Your Excellency? I'm not saying you've done anything, but in your position, the influence you have as a Deputy President, would you rule out if somebody in the DCI office gets scared going on in this investigation? Because
for your information, these institutions are independent. They don't report to the President, neither do they report to me, and that is why we secured in the Constitution, like IEBC, like the EACC, they are independent institutions.
So what if investigations, Honorable Ruto, ultimately reveal that 21 billion shillings has been misappropriated? What would you say then? Really?
21 billion shillings? I mean, in a government that, in this government,
you have said the independent,
lost in that transaction?
You have said the independent, right?
Let me tell you, Hussein, you know, they are phantom figures. Do you know how 21 billion shillings looks like? You know, really, this is not money that can get lost in somebody's pocket. You know, this is serious money, my friend. And for your information, of that 21 billion, 11 billion shillings was paid to an Italian government agency. How will you lose money that has been paid to a government? How will you lose money that has been paid to a government? 7 billion shillings, the one that I said, you can legitimately say this is money that was paid to the contractor, because a contractor is a private entity. I also said that 7 billion shillings paid to the contractor, we have a bank guarantee by the government of Kenya that if anything happens to that money that is not correct, the government of Kenya will walk to the bank and collect our 7 billion shillings. So, in your opinion, how can we lose 21 billion? Surely. You know, this is, and that is why I'm saying we must be realistic. And let me tell you, Hussein, let me tell you, what I am saying is not far-fetched. We've had an incident like the one for NYS. We were told 9 billion shillings has been lost. It was all over in the media.
Okay.
When the matter ended up in court, it was, I think, 140. And that's the question I asked. So the public is asking, you told us 9 billion had been lost. Now you have taken this guy to court for 100 million. What happened to 8.9 billion?
Okay.
You know, that's really what I am saying.
But
we must be truthful.
Be that as it may, you're also aware that the 21 billion shillings is also a figure that has been said by Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich.
Correct.
Okay, and just saying it's 7 billion.
No. But for your information, you know, let's not confuse figures. 21 billion is a sum total of all these figures, 11, 7, all these other monies were paid and they are known where they were paid. For your information, if you just go through Rotich's explanation or the Treasury's explanation, you will find all the figures there.
At the end of the day.
And in fact, Treasury is agreeing with what I said.
At the end of the day, we heard you say 7, they talked about 21. Be that as it may.
Why don't you play the clip?
Be that as it may, we'll play it.
Yes.
We have it.
Yeah, play the clip.
Be that as it may, Your Excellency. And with due respect again to your office, why should we trust you? We have an investigative agency called DCI. We have ESSC and the DPP. Why should we trust you? We are supposed to trust the institutions, isn't it?
My friend, the fact that I am elected deputy president means the people of Kenya, if things go wrong in this government, President Uhuru Kenyatta and I will be the ones to be asked. Forget even about MD of, I don't know, some organization, cabinet secretary this and cabinet secretary that. Ultimately, the people that were given the mandate to run the affairs of this government by the people of Kenya is President Uhuru Kenyatta and I. Tell me for 1 minute, why, after the trust that people of Kenya put on me, why would I sit on national television and say something that's untrue? And to what gain and to what end?
Okay. My point is, ultimately, you still allow DCI conclude its report and everything.
And I didn't
you're
say...
saying, you've also talked about the president. I mean, be that as may, you talked about your office and you have every right to say this. As I said, it looks like influencing an ongoing investigation. You are denying it. And you're saying, and I'm asking you why you could not wait. Either way, the investigation is going on. And we'll see what it reveals.
Absolutely.
You talked about the president. But it's clear that your misgivings on corruption are in clear contradiction to what the president says about the war on graft. As late as Thursday, during the State of the Nation address, the president said there's no turning back on the war against graft. He said this is important. It is a just war.
Correct.
So far, that is what he believes. That is not what you believe. You don't think it's that objective. He said institutions...
How do you arrive at that conclusion?
Because you're saying the DCI is working in cahoots with these people to put a blemish on government projects. Yet the president does not see that. And he's the president and he's also part of this government project.
My friend, can you don't misquote the president. The president also says you cannot run a media narrative. Exactly what I was saying.
Okay.
To justify the war on corruption.
I'll still go on.
Yes.
Okay, that is it. But I'll still go on to quote what the president said. He went on to say on 29th March, he said, "It is not me," and I quote, "corruption has been identified as a stumbling block. Again, there is no politics there. Let us allow the agencies to do their work." And he goes on to say, "Let us not turn this to community fights and into individual fights."
Absolutely. That is
not what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That is not what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I'll go back.
It depends on how you want to interpret it. You seem to have a different interpretation. That's exactly what I'm saying. In fact, I am on record as saying the war on corruption is war about integrity. And an integrity war that does not have integrity ceases to be an integrity war and becomes actually corruption itself. That's exactly what the president is saying.
You said, Your Excellency, you're saying it's a matter of interpretation, but listen to what you said. Say, at the risk of repetition, or sounding repetitive. You said watu wakora waende watumie ofisi ya DCI kuendesha porojo na propaganda inayolenga kuhujumu na kusabotage programs ya serikali na dams na programs zingine kwa malengo ya kisiasa. You were there when people said, for example, Nelson Koech.
By the way, don't talk about Nelson Koech because he's not here. Go look for him. He has a mind of his own. Okay. He is elected in his own right. I did not elect him. I did not vote for him. He knows how he was elected.
You don't care what they say in your presence.
So that is that is them, and you can ask them.
Fair enough, Your Excellency. But here you are. I mean, what you said. DCI is colluding.
I thought I have explained to you. How many times do you want me to explain to you?
This one more time.
I am sure.
Just this one more time.
You have a fixed mind, but I have told you what my position is. What I refer to is the politicization, the running of a narrative using the media against what is obviously wrong information. I am sitting here. We cannot possibly lose 21 billion shillings in a roar and still claim to be a government. It is not possible.
Fair enough. But
it's not possible. So you want to tell me to sit here and accept,
no.
We have lost 21 billion and DCI is investigating.
No, I'm just wondering.
Really?
No, of course. I mean, you're at liberty to say what you believe and what you know. But I'm just wondering why your boss is not worried that there are people who are working with DCI
my boss
to
is
put
equally,
a blemish on the projects.
My boss is equally worried.
You've had these conversations with him about
corruption? If you read his statement.
Have you had these conversations with him?
Do you want me to come and discuss what the discussion I have with my boss on
Do you have confidence in the DCI to carry out this war on corruption?
I have confidence in all the institutions. But when I see things go wrong, and I told you we have walked this road before, there is a time we asked 6 ministers to step aside on the basis of some set of information. We later were wrong because none of them even made it to court. And it will be irresponsible of us to walk the same road and expect different results, my friend.
Given what you said,
yeah.
Are you still interested to find out what the DCI will say ultimately about these 2 dams? Or you already know?
I am very interested in what he says, contrary to the facts that I know. It would really be very interesting for me to say how 11 billion shillings paid to the Italian government agency got lost. How is that possible?
Their sources were telling us from the DCI a few weeks ago that there are government officials and highly placed who are saying they used to receive calls from high office regarding these dams. And it's also not a secret that the jurisdiction of these dams in terms of departments and ministry had moved a couple of times. Of course, you have your own government processes and how it's done. Have you heard about this?
My friend.
Or do you know about this?
About telephone calls. Hussein, if you go to my secretary's office here, there is the phone call, including their home phones, of every minister, every PS, and every government official who runs government projects. It is my responsibility as Deputy President to make sure that we push every government project. And for your information, it is not unique to any project. Let me give an example. For the SGR to be delivered, the President himself had to chair every 3 months a meeting of all the ministers to make sure that everybody was aligned and there was enough pressure for everybody to deliver on timelines. That is the responsibility that I have to make sure. And for your information, I call ministers every day. I call PSS
and you have called them regarding all these dams as well.
And I call them on every matter, including the dams, including the roads, many members of parliament queue in my office. And many members of parliament, you can ask them, have you been to William Ruto's office? Have you asked him about this road? When they ask me about this road, there is a problem on this road, I pick the call. I call either the Director General of Kera, or of Kura, or of Kenha, or the PS, or the minister, or a water project. Because what is my responsibility as government? I have an interest in every government project being delivered. That is my responsibility.
You have placed yourself, I mean, when you talk about corruption, and you're talking about whether, you have your misgivings into the objectivity, as you've said. You actually said it is wrong for this war to target personalities and individuals, including yourself. Why would you feel targeted? And we've actually heard from your allies as well who keep saying the war on corruption has been weaponized to target Deputy President William Ruto. Do you feel as a target?
My friend.
Do you feel targeted?
You have talked about somebody called allies. I keep reading about this guy called Ally.
Before that, I said what you said.
In the media every day. I am looking for him.
Okay.
Because everybody speaks for themselves. When it is convenient for the media, when somebody speaks, he becomes a Ruto ally. When he says something else, he's a member of Jubilee. When he says something, do you feel
targeted?
I don't feel targeted at all.
So you're giving this as an example? I mean,
I'm just saying that, we must be objective. We must be objective in the fight against corruption. And that is what everybody else is saying. That's what the president was saying. The president was saying it is not targeting any community. It is not targeting anybody.
There are some who point to a trend that you have denied several occasions some of these corruption cases, and they end up being proven. One of them, for example, is NYS1 in July 2015, when you defended these accusations against corruption. First you denied it, and later on you accepted that there was indeed corruption. Okay, I'm assuming, I'm not saying this is the same case, but you were still denying it then as the deputy president. You went ahead again to accept then as the deputy president. And this is why I'm saying, why should you be trusted and not the investigative agencies? And number two, you also dismissed the Afia House scandal as media propaganda. The Auditor General report confirmed that money was actually lost.
For your information, on both cases, the matters went to court, right? And almost everybody was acquitted, right? On both cases, on especially the first case on NYS. And that is why we are saying
there's a case going on.
There is a case going on,
yeah.
But 21 of the have already been acquitted, right? Number two,
but you agreed ultimately that there was corruption.
On the Afia House matter, right? Up to today, what was issued by the auditor has been contravened. And in fact, there is nobody who has been taken to any court for whatever you perceive as a loss in Afia House. So really, this is what I am saying, Hussein. You know, we must win the war against corruption. And the only way to win the war against corruption is to get solid evidence. This media narrative, you know, because all you are discussing now here is 791 million that was lost.
Which you denied then accepted.
We have no, up to today, there is nobody who has stepped forward to say this is the money that got lost. 3 billion shillings in Afia House. It was a media story. Up to today, nobody has been
it is in a report by the Auditor General.
In court, even at all.
Over and above being a media story, it is in a report of the Auditor General.
What I am saying, Hussein, and this is what the President said on Thursday, due process. Let us get solid facts. The reason why we equipped DCI, DPP, ESCC with enough human capital, with enough equipment and resources, material resources, is so that they can do a job befitting and that will give us results out of this war.
Okay. Finally, on this matter about you and interfering or not in the investigative agencies, then how would you respond to these accusations that you are the one actually politicizing the war on corruption, that nobody else has complained so far except you?
Hussein, let me tell you, many people have accused me of all manner of things, and I am not, all these accusations are not new, you know. When I was supporting the former Prime Minister, I was a good guy. When I stopped supporting him, I became the high priest of corruption. So I am used to when we were running the last election, yeah? When we were running the last election, we were accused with President Uhuru Kenyatta that we stole Eurobond money. We stole the railway money. We stole Afia House. But now, conveniently, President Uhuru Kenyatta has been acquitted because he's not a political competitor for the future. And now, the person on the dock is William Ruto.
So you're actually confirming again that you're a target?
You know, this is politics. This is what we are used to. You know, we are used to all these claims being made for political expediency by our competitors.
Who is who?
Our political competitors are known in Kenya.
I mean, I really want to know who your political competitor is, because the president that you're saying is working with you is also working with Raila Odinga, which many people see as your competitor. So are you talking about Raila Odinga? And if Raila Odinga and the president are working together,
you want to tell me, Hussein, you want to arrange a narrative that the President Kenyatta is my competitor? Surely.
Of course not.
Can that fly anywhere?
That's why I'm asking.
You know, the
so who are you referring to?
Uhuru Kenyatta is working with Raila on this matter of the handshake.
Yeah,
does not make him not the president or the leader of Jubilee.
But I just wonder why he would work with this person that you have misgivings about, and you are the deputy president.
Politics has all manner of arrangements. You know, the workings with Raila Odinga, we all understand. You know, the handshake, you know, is a matter that is in the public domain. Okay. You know, and you know how we arrived at the handshake. yeah, and you know what the handshake was supposed to achieve. Because we have all these politics coming out of elections when people cannot accept results, and then we have issues. And the president decided, okay, let us try and settle this. Let us try and cool down temperatures. Let us have a handshake. Let us see whether we can formulate a future, you know, together, so that we can allow government to function and allow the country to move on.
Right, fair enough. And there are a lot of questions still about the handshake, but I'm coming to that shortly. You've talked about you are used to people talking about Deputy President and corruption. For instance, and this you've talked about before, the perception that you're corrupt. Ipsos survey last year ranking you as the most corrupt government individual. You've said actually on the lifestyle audit, the media only did a lifestyle audit on Deputy President William Ruto.
And nobody else.
And left it there.
They have said,
but
your media have said,
my media.
I own all manner of things in this town. I own 680 Hotel, I own Intercon Hotel, I own Sijui Boulevard. All this, where is this coming from? How can one person buy all that? From where?
I'll read a tweet here.
Those are stories.
I'll read a tweet here from Adeyos, that is Adja Agoro, says, kindly asked William Samoei Ruto, the Deputy President, how he managed to become a multi-billionaire, yet there is no progressive Chandaria or Merali-like brands or business phenomenon he has initiated in East Africa as a whole. How do you respond to him?
That tweet and that good citizen is informed by the media narrative, false media narrative, that William Ruto owns 680 Hotel, which I don't, Intercon Hotel, which I don't, Boulevard, which I don't, and all manner of other shenanigans, which are fake.
And we go back to that issue again, now that you're saying that. He's talking about billions, okay? How much then? You being a billionaire, right? I mean, and how much would you say? That's him. But how much are you really worth? And this question has been asked several times. And this is why. I'll read another one. I'll read another tweet from Charles Mbogi, who asks Honorable Deputy President, ask Ruto why he's always naively caught in fraudulent land deals for a street smart hustler like him. He seems to be smart in everything except land matters. We'll talk about that later, but first, he says, where does he collect the millions in sacks? Is it at banks or home? Does he declare the same to the Kenya Revenue Authority?
So are we going to be discussing fake news and stuff collected from visually on national TV? I don't think so. I think let's do what we must do, Hussein.
Of course, there are those who have
those are just stories, you know. These are people fed from.
There are those who have questioned, including your political competitors, and keep wondering where your money comes from. And they see you in Harambes, in churches, and other places in the weekends donating millions. And that is why people are asking these questions, Honorable Deputy President.
If somebody is interested in all that, let them come and ask me, or let them use whatever channels they want to find out. And let anybody say, my money got lost and I found it in William Ruto's hands or in William Ruto's bank account. You know, let us not bring trivial, you know, issues, you know, into this, and a lot of money in sacks. How do we discuss money in sacks? Which sacks?
But okay.
What's
I mean, fair enough. Again,
surely, let's be decent and discuss things that are realistic.
Fair enough, but of course you also owe it to Kenyans. You're the Deputy President, and if Kenyans see this, and of course you're a person aspiring for higher office, and when Kenyans see you donating all this money, they have a right to question. You're in public office.
My friend, every coin that I have, I can explain. Every coin that I have, I can explain.
So how much are you really worth? You've never answered this for a while. I know you say this is.
I am not coming to this TV to come and discuss my children or my bank account. You know, that's really, I don't think that's fair in any way.
So you're not going to respond?
So you want me to sit here and say, I own a farm here, and I own this, and I have 2 shillings in this account, and I have that business, and I have... How is
just,
that?
Okay,
how,
from the questions I'm getting from the tweets I've read, these are people who just are questioning about your source of wealth.
I think let's move on to...
Be that as it may, we are moving on. Be that as it may, I mean, you're saying you're not going to respond to that. You're not going to discuss that, okay? One of the cases, and you talked about this before, that has been said about you is Weston Hotel. You have said, and I mean, you have every right to say you're a third-party buyer, and you bought this land, but the National Land Commission has now established that this was actually public land from the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. We've seen other people having their buildings demolished, and NLCs want you to compensate KCAA. Are you going to compensate KCAA? And now that we have seen other Kenyans having their buildings demolished, whether they are third parties or not, how is yours going to work out?
Hussein, let me say this again for the 100th time. You said correctly, I was not allocated any land in Wilson. This is land that we bought. Not me as a person, but as a group, right? We went to the bank and borrowed money and built a hotel, right? The government that originally reserved the land for KCA has now been established to be the same government that allocated the land to the people we purchased from, right? Weston Hotel, in fact, many people in Kenya believe Weston Hotel sits on half of Nairobi. They don't know that Weston Hotel is 0.7 hectares. We have 74,000 hectares in the city of Nairobi. Weston Hotel is a dot, but the amount of publicity, acres of newspaper space and media is like Weston Hotel occupies half of Nairobi. But with that as it may, the National Land Commission has gone through the motions. They have established what they have established. They have given their verdict on what should happen. And any law-abiding citizen will comply with what a constitutional body has provided within the parameters of the law. Let me say this for the record. There are people in the city of Nairobi that have 10 acres, 20 acres, 100 acres in the city of Nairobi, in even Upper Hill. Yeah? They were given this land 20, 30, 50, 70 years ago. The law says if you are allocated a piece of land, you must develop it within 2 years. If you don't develop it within 2 years, it is supposed to revert to government. Many of those people have not been taken to task to revert their land to government. But for us, whom we have gone to the bank, borrowed money, today we are hiring Kenyans. Today we are contributing taxes on a piece of land 0.7 hectares. Between us and the people who have 10 acres in Upper Hill, and they have never developed even a kiosk, who should be on the receiving end? But two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, you're fine, fair enough. Precisely the point. Two wrongs don't make a right. Precisely the point. But I'm saying, we've seen KCAA, for example. But I'm saying, where is evenness? You know, two wrongs never make a right. Yeah. But where are we even? You know, where is evenness? You know, we should balance this. Fair enough. But the same question. I have answered your question. The same question you're talking about. I have answered your question. Where is evenness on the people who've had their buildings demolished because of such cases? You know, let me tell you. We ourselves did not wait. We went to the National Land Commission to validate our property, right? We took ourselves. So it depends on how you prosecute your case. You know, the fact that one guy goes to court and gets this verdict does not negate another guy going to go to court, and if he doesn't prosecute their case properly and they don't get the same result. I mean, why do you want to ask me to pay for what other people, you know? All I'm asking is that we must all be treated equal before the law.
Okay, so, all right. So you're going to compensate KCA then?
I thought I answered your question.
Fair enough. You talked about cabinet secretaries being stepping aside, Your Excellency, and I mean, you did not like what happened, clearly, because up to now nobody has been proven to be corrupt. As we wind up on this issue of corruption, just two questions. First, we have had a cabinet secretary sacked, the Honorable Echesa. He has been demanding to know why he was sacked. Why was Echesa sacked?
Put on the flip side, why was he hired?
You serve at the presidency. You know why you hired him.
So I think the same hiring authority
reserves the right to fire.
Yeah.
But so without any
with
reason?
Or without an explanation.
All right. So what if, do you feel ultimately, because you have political ambitions, that corruption and the talk on corruption and people talking to you about corruption, you said, I mean, there's a lot of people who talk about William Ruto his name being synonymous with corruption. Do you think corruption will be one of the big challenges of your presidential ambitions? And do you think it will actually be an issue or a campaign issue in 2022?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? It does not deserve that.
You know, let me tell you, the people of Kenya know what they want. Yeah? The people of Kenya want a leader who can deliver on the things that are very dear to them. Yeah? We delivered the SGR. We delivered our electricity program. We have delivered on our education program. We have delivered on our health program because of the focus that we have and our determination and our commitment to delivery for this country. I don't believe that corruption can stop any determined leader from delivering on or transforming this country.
How major should it be? Okay, there are people who are now saying the president should not focus on anything else in as far as his legacy is concerned, but the big agenda of corruption, not even the big four agenda. Do you believe?
Precisely. You know, that we have people who have made, because they have no plan of where they want to take Kenya. They have no agenda. They have no development program. They have only this one thing. And these are the same people who kept singing to us that we will not deliver the SGR because it is corrupt. We deliver the SGR. They told us we will not deliver on the first Eurobond. We deliver the first Eurobond without the corruption they were talking about. They told us we will not deliver on our health program, on equipping our hospitals and raising the number of hospitals that are referral. We delivered. They told us we will not deliver on our road network. We have delivered on our road network. Okay. So these are people who basically don't have an agenda. So they are looking for excuses. And the simple and easiest excuse is corruption propaganda.
Okay. These people, again, are the opposition that we knew in 2017, up to the run-up of the election. That was headed by Honorable Raila Odinga. He came into a handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta. They've talked about it. He said several times that you are not part of it. That is Honorable Raila Odinga.
That's right.
First, why do you see the handshake as political?
Hussein,
they say it's not political.
Let me give you a bit of background. Before Raila Odinga engaged the president on the matter of the handshake, he engaged me.
Okay.
Raila Odinga approached me on 4 occasions.
Before talking to the president?
Yes.
After the election?
After the election, to have a discussion. I declined. to engage the former Prime Minister. And I declined for two reasons. Reason number one is that in Jubilee, we have one central command. President Uhuru Kenyatta is the party leader, is the president, and we all defer to him. If there is any engagement with anybody on matters of politics, it has to start with President Uhuru Kenyatta. And for your information, for every approach that was made by Raila Odinga to me, I informed the president, right?
And he told you not to?
No, I told him myself.
Did he respond?
I will not. No, I told him I will not engage Raila Odinga. And the second reason is I did not believe that he was doing this in good faith. I was not persuaded that it was in good faith. Because some of the statements, in fact, on two occasions, we actually spoke on the phone when he sent some emissary. And I could hear the trend, you can see the president has already started to appoint ministers. And you remember when the president appointed the first 6 ministers, and there was a bit of hula baloo there. But I told him, my friend, initially we were running a coalition. Today, we have a party. The president is the head of this party. He doesn't have to consult me, right? So I could see where the thing was going. And I duly informed.
Which is?
No, I mean, to try and say, you are being shortchanged here, I don't know. It's that kind of narrative, which to me is a fake thing, So I did not engage him. So finally, when the engagement was carried out under this handshake story, it was not necessary for President Uhuru Kenyatta to let me know. But being the gentleman that he is, he actually brought me on board and told me, Mr. Deputy President, I'm having an engagement with the leader of the opposition. We've agreed like this, we've talked like this, blah, blah, blah. And I gave my views.
Which were
my views. And so it went. So first,
I would assume.
Let me set the record straight.
Yeah.
Much as, and it is not necessary, but the president, being the leader that he is, asked me about my thoughts, and I gave him my thoughts. And he already knew that there were advances by the former Prime Minister to engage with me. So when I see people stand on a podium and say, William Ruto is not part of this, I just don't know how dishonest people can be.
Okay.
But because of the greater picture, because of the bigger picture, and for your information, it is in the Jubilee modus operandi, mode of doing business, to bring unity among people. That is where we started with President Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013.
All right.
So it was a build-up from where we were.
Since
and for your information, Hussein, my fears that there was, as much as President Uhuru Kenyatta was committed and sincere that we want to bring the country together, our colleagues on the other side clearly don't think so.
No.
None other than the deputy party leader of ODM goes to Busia and says, I have been sent by the former Prime Minister, we must fight Ruto.
That is Joho.
Right? It is in the public domain.
Do you believe what he said?
What reason? Do you think it was a flat statement? Where was that
because
going?
Because you're the one.
That's not the only thing.
That is me. You're the one who said you should not talk should not talk about allies, but talk about the person themselves.
Okay. So,
but my question was,
as if that is not enough, Orengo goes to the media and says, we have a deal with President Uhuru Kenyatta to the exclusion of Deputy President and all this. which I don't believe is true.
I interviewed him 2 weeks ago when he said he wants to impeach you.
It's supposed to create a situation.
Yes.
The same fellow goes ahead and says, we must impeach the deputy president. The same fellow has been hired by the fellow you interviewed here, called Morade, in that movement called Stop Ruto movement, to go to court to stop me from running. And, so good faith.
I mean, you've said a lot of things. You've said a lot of things. First of all, I mean, this is your word, because Honorable Raila Odinga says you were never part of this. Be that as it may, this is what you're telling me tonight.
It's okay. No problem.
But my question is,
I have told you
your position.
Not my position, that's the reality
of what happened.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. My question is, I just wonder how you could not buy this narrative. You were skeptical 4 times, you said, yet the president was not. The president bought it.
You see, we are all different. Yeah, we are all different. And the president operates at a higher level from me, right? I'm deputy president. There are things that I can do. There are things that the president can do by virtue of his office. He has more latitude. He has more information. He has a bigger view of the situation. And the fact that he asked about my opinion, means that he consulted. And I'm sure he consulted beyond me. He must have consulted other people, right? But it was my position. And you see, and my position was not far-fetched. It is also informed by history, my friend. I was there. In fact, I came and took over from Makto and concluded that KANU NDP merger, the merger, right? And I saw what became of that merger. KANU actually broke because of that merger. Raila walked in and walked away with half of KANU. You were there with Mwai Kibaki and the NAC story. That government did not last 2 years. It broke. So, I mean, you cannot ask me, how did you develop, a second thought about this? Why did you second guess this? Because, I mean, we are students of history. You look at a situation, and you can clearly see this is...
and these are your fears even up to now. And you're actually saying your fears have come to pass. That's what you're saying, in other words, are being confirmed.
To a great extent, if you look at what is going on now,
which is...
What is going on now is, although it's a bit different, is that the ODM people have come in. They have managed to persuade some people, nominated other sympathizers of theirs who were in ODM before, from Jubilee. But you see, because of history, 95% of Jubilee is intact, because they know. They know the history. So, but now you can see there is a team there trying to do exactly what they did to KANU.
Okay, so I'm just wondering, again, the president is not seeing this up to now. You're the one seeing this. As late as, again, State of the Nation address on Thursday, he said there's no turning back on the handshake. He was lauding the handshake and the Building Bridges initiative. You're reading it from a different script, clearly.
Let me tell you, when the president talks about the handshake, the president is very clear what it means. It means the unity of the country, which, as William Ruto, I am persuaded beyond. And that is why I believe in the Jubilee Party, because this is the party that brought the whole country together. I am amongst the pillars of the Jubilee Party.
Fine.
We dissolved many parties
to form the Jubilee Party
because of our belief in the unity of our country and our belief in politics of national parties, not ethnic vehicles.
But this handshake is very specific. You're talking about interpreting what the president is saying about it to be unity, but this handshake is very specific. It's about the president and Honorable Raila Odinga. It's not about really, it's about unity, yes, but
so are you telling me
it's a very specific
that
issue.
This unity is between the president and Raila? I thought it was unity between all Kenyans. We want to bring Kenyans together.
You have said, for example, the Deputy President, in Kilifi on March 9th, if you mean uniting Kenya, then let's do that by our actions, but you cannot say you're uniting when in actual sense you're dividing them. You went on to say you're busy wrecking other political parties. You've also said ule mtu upinzani anajaribu kutufundisha jinsi ya kuendesha serikali and all that. Kitabu ya Mathayo inatuambia jihadhari na nabii wa uongo. Wanakuja kama kondoo, kumbe ndani yao ni mbwa mwitu. Hamwezi kunifukuza Jubilee kama vile mlinifukuza ODM.
Hussein, do you want to rewrite the Bible?
I am just quoting what you say.
Matthew 7:15 is Matthew 7:15.
I'm just quoting what you said. I'm just quoting what you said, Your Excellency. And I'm just wondering, if Jubilee matters to you, and I assume matters to the president.
Absolutely.
Why would you only have these fears and not the president?
My friend, do you know that when things happened to Kano, we were all there? And it actually goes back to that Jewish saying that when they came for the Jews, I did not say anything because I was not a Jew. When they came for the next lot, I did not say anything because I was not one of them. But finally, when they came for me, there was nobody to speak up. So, you know, we cannot allow the same thing to happen over and over again and close our eyes to the reality. You yourself have said there are some divisions in Jubilee, right?
Yeah, that is a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, so how, for example, do we now have Jubilee members hanging out with NASA members, and the narrative is Jubilee is corrupt and William Ruto must be kicked out? So
they actually say, including some Jubilee members, that, so, you know, you should actually resign because you're not reading from the same script with the president on this matter of handshake and corruption. That is what they're saying.
So you see, those people have actually been swallowed by the ODM narrative that Jubilee is corrupt.
But it's true, you're not reading from the same script with the president.
When these people spread the propaganda about Jubilee is corrupt, whose government is it? Isn't it President Uhuru's government? How can you say Jubilee government is corrupt when it is being run by President Uhuru Kenyatta? How? And you are a Jubilee member. We are used to ODM saying Jubilee is corrupt because it is propaganda and it is nonsense. But when it is joined by members of our party who, and you know, we can't fault them. Some of these people came from ODM anyway, you know, and some of them were rejected by Jubilee members anyway. These are people who have sour grapes to deal with. And some of them erroneously say they lost because of William Ruto. These are people who wanted to rig elections. We refused. We said Jubilee is a party that believes in fairness, and every member of this party will be treated fairly.
In hindsight, I mean, from all this narrative that you saw, and you saw that this is not good, and you are saying now, up to now, you have concerns. Clearly, Deputy President, from what the President is saying publicly, he has no concerns, only you have concerns. Have you raised these issues with the President? Jubilee is your party.
Correct.
Yeah, so have you raised issues with him?
For your information, if there is one person that I consult almost on a daily basis, it is President Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, I find it strange that when President Uhuru Kenyatta comes to my office for a simple meal, it becomes news. Oh, you know, this has happened. Oh, you know, this has happened. how many meals do we share with Uhuru Kenyatta, the president? You know, how many drinks do we share
with the president?
How many days do we go out together?
So what does he say about James Givens?
How many days do we go to the shooting range, for example, together? How many, you know, so these are phantom stories.
But what does he say about James Givens with the handshake? This is something you built together, the Jubilee Party.
You see, Hussein, you do not expect me, with the office that I occupy, to come and discuss with you what I discuss with the President of Kenya. Surely, Hussein, you're asking for too much. Honestly.
It is just because you have
No, honestly.
I'm saying, it's just because you have a public position that is quite different from the President's public position, who keeps referring to Honorable Raila Odinga as my brother, my brother, my brother. And he keeps saying that this handshake is good for the country and it is working. You're saying it's not working. So are you saying, be that as it may,
those are your words, Hussein. Please allow me to speak for myself.
Okay.
You can only speak for yourself, because you see, in any case, if you were to speak for me, I don't think I would afford to hire you to speak for me.
You would afford me?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough. Then let me ask you that question directly. Is the handshake working?
To an extent, yes. Yeah. The fact that
what is working?
We do not have any demonstrations anymore. We do not have people quarreling in the streets anymore. We've toned down problems. You know, businesses are running without problems. It's working.
So it should continue?
Yes.
To the end with the Building Bridges initiative?
Yes.
Regardless of your misgivings about it? Because you're saying...
In any case, the ODM fellows have said I should not be part of the handshake. So, surely...
But there's no way you cannot be part of the handshake. Because
I don't know.
They
say I am not part of it. You are the one who has just said.
You're the deputy president. I'm just pointing to the fact that you are... you keep referring to him, Mdosi. Mdosi is part of this handshake, but you're not. That is what Kenyans don't understand. Kenyans don't understand when there's an exchange of words between you and Raila Odinga, yet there's a handshake between Raila Odinga and the president, and claims of unity.
And most of the time, I am the one responding because Raila has come for me. You know, most of the time, I'm the one having to tell him, hey, my friend, hold it there.
He actually said finally yesterday about this. He said if the president has issues, if the deputy president has issues, he should bring them up with the president, not with him.
But if he comes to my party, where I am deputy party leader, I will stop him.
Okay. They have those who say and who feel that the handshake has strained your relations with President Uhuru Kenyatta. There are those who have talked about, I'm sure you consume the media and you say the media is being used. And to a large extent, it is also visuals, and people have been seeing the bromance you shared with the president in the first 5 years. We don't see that, let me say this, with the rider, as much as we used to, at least publicly, in the first term. Okay? There are those who actually took an issue, and I'm asking you directly, because you said we don't talk about allies. I'm asking you directly, when the president referred to you as Mtoku Tangatanga, and when the president was talking about the lifestyle audit and he said, Itanza na mimi, and then just referred to you as Huyu. There are those who took offense with that, your supporters. Did you take any offense? Do you feel any strained relations with the president?
I take offense with the people who want to portray my boss in negative light. When the president referred to that Tanga issue, it was in a very positive context. In fact, the president was referring to that Tanga in a context of me doing what I do best, monitoring government programs. You know, and it is that clear. So these people who want to go and bastardize it and actually demean my boss are actually doing the wrong thing, and I don't take it lightly, right? So I mean, to go and try and second guess the boss and to say maybe he meant really is not right.
Okay.
In fact, what the president said clearly is that this guy is going to be coming to explain to him whenever there is an issue, if the road is not working, if there is something that is not working, this guy will be hanging out here, let him know. And because that is what I do, you know.
Yet from this...
And for your information, that is what I have done ever since we were elected.
Yet from this we are seeing informal, let me call them informal, movements of Tanga and Tim Kielebeke. Apparently
those are creations of people. And you know, there is also, you know, people who are sponsoring. You know, there is Jubilee that belongs to Ruto. There is Jubilee that belongs to President Uhuru Kenyatta. My friend, let me tell you, we do not have that luxury. We have the luxury to run those shows, but we decided deliberately that we are not going to have two outfits. We folded the parties then, and President Uhuru Kenyatta and I are so clear as to where we want Jubilee to be. And for the record, and let me say this, and in answer even to your first question, Jubilee, when Uhuru Kenyatta, the president, and myself sat down, we wanted a party that would outlive him, outlive me, outlive this generation. We wanted to recalibrate the politics of Kenya so that it is no longer about community or tribe, it becomes about issues. And I have absolutely no problem with people making choices, you know. People can decide to belong to this party or that party. One. There is no problem.
Yeah, but
it doesn't have to.
But the thing is,
but let me tell you, Jubilee is one party
headed
by Uhuru Kenyatta.
Right.
All these other people, and we have one outfit. You know, these other people are pretenders. They want to say, oh, you know, we are speaking with ODM because we have Sujui. What business do we have politically with ODM? They have their own show. We have our own show. What we share is matters to do with the unity of the country. But when it comes to political parties, President Kenyatta is on record clearly. And I think Raila Odinga has also said that he hasn't left the opposition. At least the last time I heard, he had not left the opposition.
Yeah, but we're seeing...
And he was still in the opposition.
When you talk about Jubilee, in recent times, you're seeing almost every weekend, two different factions of the Jubilee party going at each other. All right? One says, and again, this stems from what people have been saying, and I want you to answer me that directly.
There is Jubilee party, and there is like a small section of people, kutoeleweka or something, that are hanging out with NASA. That is all that is there. And you know, these are people who are, they can make their choice. In fact, most of them are ODM original members, sympathizers. Maybe they have decided that they want to go back to ODM, and that is fine. That's fine with us. There is no problem because this is a country of choice.
Yeah, and we've seen opposition MPs also hanging out with you. But be that as it may, there are people who have been through and through Jubilee since it started.
Yeah.
Maina Kamanda, for example. We've seen David Muradhi, who's actually the vice chair of Jubilee, and you've referred to him, who talked about the need to stop you from being president and to stop the Ruto movement. And as you respond to that, I'd want you to respond to this question. The president promised to support you after his term ends, that is in 2022. Do you first think anything has changed?
For your information, I will not in public want to tell my boss what to do.
He already said what he will do.
Yeah, I will. It is not in my place to say what President Uhuru Kenyatta will do. What I know is what the party will do, right? The party headed by Uhuru Kenyatta will have a candidate in 2022. That candidate is not necessarily William Ruto, for your information. Because when we sat down with Uhuru Kenyatta, we said we must have a party that is democratic, that will decide on every matter democratically. The Constitution of Jubilee provides for how we arrive at a presidential candidate. When that time comes, and if I present my papers to apply to be a candidate in Jubilee, I am sure there will be other people who will present their papers.
So what was that?
The one thing that I am sure is under President Uhuru Kenyatta's leadership, we will have a fair contest, and whoever will be nominated by the party, even if it is not William Ruto, I want to promise you, I will support.
Whoever it is.
Yes.
So was that just political talk? Tafanya kumi yangu, Ruto afanye kumi yake. You're doing this on behalf of Kenyans. You're doing what you're doing.
When that time comes, President Uhuru Kenyatta will make his choice. You know? If, let me tell you, because I know President Uhuru Kenyatta for who is, I've known him long enough now to know
what he stands for,
what his stand is. I am sure that even if he is going to support me, he would not want to load it over any other member to support me. I will have to struggle and persuade other members to support me.
Okay, you're doing what you're doing on behalf of Kenyans, isn't it?
Yeah.
As the Deputy President, you have supporters. There are those who actually moved with you through your political journey because of that promise, number one. And number two, the President said in Nyeri in November last year that his choice will shock people. And that is why there was a lot of interpretation. That why should his choice shock anyone, yet it was already said that he'll have kumi yake, kumi ya Ruto.
You know, that is a question. First, I believe the President was quoted out of context. There was nowhere in that speech where the President was referring to a presidential contest first, you know. So that is the creation of some clever people for whatever reason they wanted to create it, yeah. And secondly, maybe when you get an opportunity, you may want to engage the President on that subject. But I can tell you from where I sit that that was a statement that was quoted out of context, and I do not think for 1 minute the President was referring to anybody or any contest.
From what has been happening then, do you feel betrayed in any way? Yeah, those who have talked about betrayal.
Not at all. Let me tell you, my friend, I am privileged to serve in the high office of Deputy President. It would be very ungrateful of me to look like this office that I serve in means nothing. We have only one Deputy President in Kenya. You know? So, I mean, why would I have such a feeling?
Because there are those who say your campaigns have officially kicked off, unofficially kicked off for 2022. They see you every weekend.
My friend,
they see people with you talking about your 2022 presidential ambitions.
Hussein, as Deputy President of Kenya, I have a job. I am paid by the people of Kenya to do a job. And I wake up every morning to come to this office, to go to my office in town, to earn my salary. And it includes all the many things that members of parliament, senators, leaders engage me with. This road, that water project, that hospital, this issue, all these matters.
But you've also talked about people wanting to stop you.
And it is Kinamorada who they came and talked to you about it. You know, they are the ones who have said we have started a movement called Stop Ruto.
Okay, you've also talked. For example, I remember you in Western Kenya telling, if I can quote you, telling Mudavadi and I think Kalonzo. I don't know if Kalonzo was there, but you said, "Nimekaribia tu hapo." No.
You know,
honestly, the president keeps saying we should not talk about 2022 and campaigning.
We are politicians. You know, Hussein, let's be realistic. This is a situation I met Mudavadi. yeah, in a meeting. And so I was just telling Mudavadi in jest, my friend, Sasa Wewe, you and the former Prime Minister, you know what we had agreed. Raila was supposed to be the president, you were supposed to be the vice president, me, I was supposed to be created a position called Prime Minister. But when things did not work out, you guys came and shared my position. And in the process, I got lost. Now that things have rearranged themselves, you know, really, I mean, that's political talk for that moment. But for your information, in that meeting, it was a meeting where we were building a school, right? And it was a homecoming for one of the members of parliament of ANC, who happens to be a bishop and is also my friend. So really, I think when President Uhuru Kenyatta says, let us not engage in politics, he does not mean that you cannot go and do a function in a school, or you cannot go and do a function in a road, or you cannot go and do a function in a water project. He doesn't mean that. He just means that we cannot engage all the time in politics.
But we've seen him irritated about politics. We've seen him irritated publicly about 2022 and campaigns for 2022. And another thing, because there are those who also say David Morade is a close associate, or known to be a close associate of the president, yet he is making these remarks against you, that you are corrupt, that you do not deserve to be in high office, that you should be stopped from the presidency. How does that settle with you?
This ally thing, my friend, you know, when I had the engagement,
your former vice chair, yeah.
when I had the engagement with Uhuru Kenyatta on fashioning the future under Jubilee, David Morade was not anywhere in that room, and he cannot speak on anything on matters to do with the future of this party. So
he was your vice chair,
and that is why he decided to take a walk.
Because he said he could not work.
He decided
not
to
be
take
in
a
a
walk.
party where you are
because
and support you for presidency.
He talked himself out of the party.
So you're also saying he was sacked? He was removed?
I think he just could not stomach what he had said. He bit more than he could chew.
We saw over the weekend, of course, you talked about the media and all the stories about you. I think this was this weekend or last weekend, correct me if I'm wrong, or 2 weeks ago, we saw in Kiambu, I believe, and Kiamba exactly, people donning in yellow t-shirts, talking about William Samoei Ruto, friends of WSR, and there was this question about people, I mean, critics talking about, is this the revival of the URP party, silently, with all that is happening in the Jubilee party and post-handshake politics?
My friend, let me tell you, when we made the decision that we are having a national party called Jubilee, that decision was informed by a lot of soul searching. As William Ruto, my party, whether I become anything or nothing, is Jubilee, right? And I believe in it so much because it was born out of the realization of how faulty our politics can be if we do not have a national political party. And I am on record as saying the best way, and I want to say this on this program, the best way to take Kenya forward and to unify the country is to belong to a national political party. I see some of my friends who have a political party where 80% of the members there belong to your community.
Okay.
And then you stand on a platform and want to give us a lecture on how to unite people. Surely. And that is what I told even our friends in the opposition. And I told them through the last election that the same way Uhuru Kenyatta and I, and many of the political leaders that we joined together, the 12 political parties that formed Jubilee, the same way we had the courage to dissolve all our parties and form one united national party, these people in NASA should not be going back to some small party called, I don't know, Fort Kenya, another small party called UNC, another small... What are they doing? You know? And if you do not believe in a national political movement, you want to hang on to your ethnic cocoon, how can you participate in a discussion about the unity
whatever
of
political
Kenya?
pundits are saying, I mean, there's no plan B for you. That's what you're saying. It's Jubilee through and through.
I have no plan B.
You said on Twitter recently, after the by-elections of Friday, 5th April, you said, congratulations, Ochieng of Ugenya, Awadhi of Embakasi, for your God-given victory. You said, Jameni, wacheni Mungu itwe Mungu. The Hustler Nation has spoken. The people have decided. Glory to the Almighty God. First, I mean, who are you addressing? You are the Deputy President. You are also the Deputy of the Jubilee Party. These two people are from two different parties, not Jubilee. And there's also been this talk about whether this was a contest between you and Raila Odinga. Did you support them in any way, as has been said? Or
For your information, I did not support anybody because we had no candidates in those places.
But you were happy that they won?
And for your information, I do not want to discuss members of parliament here, right? It is ODM who went to frame the contest. They went to tell people that if you vote for this one, you have voted for Ruto. If you vote for this one, you have voted for Raila. It is them. I did not say it. So all I was saying is, if that was their wish, so they better deal with the results.
So what do you mean then when you say, okay, you don't want to talk about the MPs, isn't it?
No, I don't.
But what did you mean when you said the Hustler Nation has spoken? Who is the Hustler Nation?
My friend Hussein, you know, this
Jubilee had nothing to do with this, isn't it? Jubilee had nothing to do with this.
Yes.
Who's the Hustler Nation here then?
You know, all those people there, they look like they were underdogs. You know, nobody thought much of them. They are people, but you know, they worked hard. You know, despite the heavy artillery that was, you know, artillery that was deployed in those places, they made it. You know, they made it. So, and let me tell you, this hustler thing is not a state, a permanent state that you can be, or it is something that, you know, once a hustler, you're always a hustler because you're chasing for opportunity, you're chasing for
and you still consider yourself a hustler.
your goals, your dreams, you keep moving, and that is what Kenyans wake up to do every day. They wake up to hustle. They wake up to chase the next opportunity, to chase their dreams, to work on it. That's what it is.
You still
and
consider
these
yourself...
are people, and these are people who work on it every day.
Okay. You still consider yourself a hustler? That's what you said?
I hustle every day, my friend.
I wonder why you said this a while back. Why would this statement fascinate you? Actually, it wasn't your statement. You're quoting somebody else. I remember when you said, kuna kitu ilinifurahisha sana, or something to that effect. Or you said...
No, I said I had.
Yeah, you had. But it fascinated you. When you said, mtoto wa maskini akipata ameiba, mtoto wa maskini. Na mtoto wa tajiri akipata, ni ya babake. Why would that fascinate you? Or who are you referring to?
Doesn't it fascinate you?
I don't know if Kenyans are interested in what I have to say more than they are in what you have to say.
What I'm saying, you know, what I'm saying, that is precisely what we are speaking to. You know, the hustler nation, the hustler thing, is about telling every Kenyan that your current status is not a permanent status. You can change. You can become something. Even though you may have nothing today, you can be something tomorrow. Even though you may be poor today, you can be something tomorrow. And no Kenyan should resign to their state at the moment. That is what it all says. And that's what that gentleman was saying. He was basically saying, you know, let's give everybody a chance. And that's what we are saying in our nation. And Hussein, let me tell you, when we say, let us give everybody a chance, that is what we are doing. When we say every child, irrespective of the social or financial status of their parents, must go to primary school, must go to secondary school. Today, we have changed the story for people who are going to Tibet.
Okay.
For your information, what we have decided as government is that even if you did not go to any school, you cannot be locked out of going to college.
Okay.
Even if you did not finish standard 8, even if you have finished Form 4, you can go to a Tibet institution, you can be examined, you can acquire a skill, because we want every Kenyan child, irrespective of their financial status,
Successive
to
changes.
to move to the next level, for their hustle, for their dream to come true, and they can be something in this Kenya.
There's this narrative that some say will be your 2022 political mantra about hustlers versus dynasties.
No,
and I'll just put it to you. Is that going to be the premise upon which you're campaigning on, the hustler nation? Are these the people you're targeting?
When I supported Raila Odinga, I knew he was the son of a former vice president. When I supported Uhuru Kenyatta, I knew that he was the son of a former president. That story of hustler versus dynasty was created by forces who you know. I think, in fact, it was attributed to one member of KANU. That is the first person who made that statement. All I believe in, as William Ruto, is every Kenyan child, irrespective of who they are, irrespective of their social status, irrespective of their financial status or that of their parents, must be given a chance and must be able to chase their hustle and their dreams and become something in Kenya.
And they feel,
and that,
and some feel,
I will go out of my way, in my small way, to make sure
it happens.
That it happens.
But they feel already, some feel you have failed them. And as you respond to this, let's go into development of the Big Four agenda. And some say actually the heightened political temperatures are undermining or compromising or taking away attention and focus or more from government projects and what should be done in the Big Four agenda.
Let me tell
I'm saying
you.
some say they failed you, because we remember, you've seen this several times when you, in your 2017 manifesto, when you launched the manifesto, you promised that university graduates will be posted to various state and private entities for 18 months and their internship will be paid for. So what happened?
We have a whole State Department that is currently working on that internship program. In fact, when we crafted government this time around, we created a whole State Department for post-graduate, for post-training graduates for internship and postgraduate training. That whole department is working on the nuts and bolts. We had a small hitch at the beginning, but for your information, the Big Four program, and that is what I want you to give me just a small opportunity to explain. The Big Four program is anchored on 4 areas.
Yeah, but when will this
Three
start
of the areas
for the university graduates? When will it start? It's already 1.5 years down the line.
We are finalizing the template to be in line so that beginning this budget, that program will kick in after June.
In June?
In June.
Okay.
Okay. The Big Four, 3 of the pillars of the Big Four are actually Article 43 issues, meaning these are mandatory by any government. Housing, food, health, right? Those are, those are matters that the Constitution says government must.
Yeah.
And what have we done on matters
Kenyans
to
are
do?
starving.
Yes. What have we done on matters to do with food security? We are starving, and for a long time, many Kenyans have been telling us, why are you having an emergency out of drought every year?
Exactly. Just
and
like
that
we
is
did
why,
again this year.
in the Jubilee Manifesto, we have put in there to construct 125,000 household ponds, 4,000 small dams, and 57 mega dams.
And it's 3.5 years to go.
Yes, yes.
And
we have
people are
already
already starving.
we have already done the first 6,000 small
6,000.
Yes, small holder ponds. We have done. If you watched the Minister for Agriculture, Kiunjuri, this weekend, He was actually inspecting some of the completed small dams. Part of the dams, the big dams that we want to construct, aside from Kimwarer, Itare, Aror, Viba Dam that is already under construction, Karemenu Dam in Kiambu here that is already, we have just finalized compensation, Tuake Dam that is already 15% complete, Lowat Dam, Ratad Dam, Mzima Springs. You know, we have an all hurry. And you see, why are we focusing on water harvesting? 85% of Kenya, Hussein, 85% is arid and semi-arid. We cannot possibly talk about feeding this country unless we bring that 85% of Kenya, or a portion of it, under irrigation for purposes of food production.
And yet
that is why the dams are important, and irrigation is our next horizon.
Next, you say next, but you talked about this in 2013.
We are walking that journey. We are walking that journey.
You talked about this in 2013, bringing 1 million acres under irrigation. You talked in this about 2013 manifesto.
Wait, I agree.
That we should not rely on rain-fed agriculture anymore. But it is 2018, 19, and people are starving.
What we did, we had to reconfigure the whole arrangement. Because, for example, when we went to Galana Gulalu, yeah, we discovered that the water we had could not do the 1 million acres we wanted. We needed actually to put up a dam. And one of the dams in our plan is the dam for Galana Gulalu.
But the feasibility study was done
before. We are now doing Thwake, which is upstream. We want to see what that will do so that we can build the one.
So the Galana Gulalu project, you're saying, was abandoned? It
is not abandoned.
The initial plan was abandoned.
The initial grant plan until we do the dam. Yeah, the water that is there can only do about 30 or 40,000 acres. And the model farm has been done. We have already derived a lot of benefit, understanding. We have worked on the varieties. We have worked on what are the real issues that once we do full scale, that will come on board.
This was a big plan, and we've heard the Israelis talking about cartels sabotaging this. This was a big plan. I talked to the Cabinet Secretary Wamalwa, and he actually said the plan was also, he says the plan was that investors will come in to Galana Gulalu. And you are saying this is your answer to food security.
Absolutely, my friend. You know, what I'm saying is we have decided that we will spread that, not on one project. That's why we are saying, instead of doing just that Gulalu 1 million acres, we want to do 1 million acres, but spread over many projects. That's why we have all this. For example, Aror and Kimwarer is supposed to do 20,000 acres and give water to 100,000 families. The same thing with Bosto, the same thing with Radat, the same thing with Mzima, the same thing with Thwake, the same thing with Karimen. So that is where we are heading. So, number two, and for your information, because of the interventions we have done, last 2017, the prices of unga went to about 150. As it is now, we were at 85 until now.
Going to about 190.
Because of the delayed rains. But we believe we can arrest that situation.
And you see, we are talking about delayed rains again, yet you said you promised this will not be enough factor in 2030.
A bag of maize, even as we talk today, is still at 2,500. It has not gotten to 4,000, which was what it was before. So there is something we are doing that is right. But going into the future, we believe that the model we have now will sort out that problem. Issue number two.
Let's talk about housing. Housing. Okay, you promised 500,000 units in 5 years.
Housing is a major component of our plan. Right? Housing is a major component of our plan. You know, Hussein, they say, the longer you take sharpening the axe, the less time you will take cutting down the tree. We've been working on the mechanics of how to deliver. We were starting from zero, right? We've had to develop a whole new infrastructure, including the housing fund, development fund, including a mortgage refinancing institution. Some of these has had challenges. People
one that Kenyans
went to court, others went to court.
But Kenyans did not know they were going to contribute to this when you're making this promise. Kenyans did not know that.
My friend Hussein, your contribution will finally benefit you, right?
Some would still want the liberty to contribute or not, isn't it?
You see, but if we are running a national program, and we have, I think, gone round and persuaded many Kenyans that this is the project to invest in, because it sorts out two major problems. Number one, it gives Kenyans decent housing. It gives an opportunity to a border rider to own a house that he can pay rent for 20 years, and after 20 years, the house becomes his. That a guy who today is paying rent of 8,000, in 15 years, instead of paying rent, that 8,000 will be mortgage. And that in 15 years, he will own a house.
Okay.
My friend, people used to walk out of university. And many graduates walk out of university and they go and live in slums. William Ruto sitting here. When I walked out of Nairobi University, I went to stay in Kawangware, right? I paid 1,700. It was basically a slum. Okay. It was a Mabati house. So that is a graduate. Okay. What about the other people? So we must have a country that every person has an opportunity to own something. That is how we are going to have a stake in this country, all of us.
Will you deliver 500,000 units in 2022?
For your information, you will be surprised at the amount of interest. Were it not for the delays of court matter, we just have a small court matter that is delaying this. The amount of interest from international community, from people who want to deploy different kind of technologies of building houses. There are a number of people who have financing resources to be able to deliver on this project. The number of counties that we have signed on board who are ready to be part of this project is amazing. And this will also sort out one of the big challenges we have.
Okay.
And that is the challenge of unemployment.
Okay.
Let me just give me 1 minute.
I'll give you that. I'm just asking you a direct question. Will you still deliver 500,000 units by 2022?
It is possible.
It is uncertain because after 2022 we
and
don't know who will be in government.
Even if we don't deliver 500 and we deliver 300,000, my friend, this country will change in a way that that will be historic. And let me tell you,
there's another, apart from that, there's another promise you made, and you were very assertive then.
Just relax. Let me just say this one point.
Okay.
The challenge we have is a challenge of unemployment. The opportunity we have in the housing project, and I want Kenyans to look at it that way, apart from decent housing, apart from giving every person, the guy paying 3,000 rent, the guy paying 10,000 rent, the guy paying 20,000 rent, they have a solid opportunity today to own a house, which is something that every Kenyan is looking forward to. But more importantly, the millions of people today who are hanging around, young people who have no opportunity, they have now an opportunity to work. For every house we build, we need to hire 5 people at the minimum. Okay. We will have a whole industry developed around this housing program. And this is a program that is going to go on for 30, 40 years before we settle the housing problem in Kenya. Okay. This is our opportunity. This is our moment to sort out the youth unemployment and to sort out the housing menace that we have in Kenya.
The other thing I have to ask you before we wind up is you are very assertive, and you've seen this during rounds several times. When you talked about building the 5 stadia, and you went on ahead to say there are even more stadia, talking about what there are 11 stadia, 11 in total. We haven't seen that happen, and you're very assertive when you're launching the manifesto. Let me
for your information, let me just, I know where you want to go. Let me tell you.
I mean, you said within 9 months. By the end of 2017, they should have been ready.
We have, when we came into office, several things happened. We went into a repeat election that we spent almost 15 billion That was not part of our plan. We had to reconfigure the financing of this stadium. And what we have done now is that we have set a fund, arts and sports, arts and culture fund that will raise about 5 billion shillings every year to specifically address those issues. And now we have a solid financing scheme to make sure that we not only finish the 5, that we promised, we finish the 11 that are on course, but we also work with the counties to make sure that we have additional ones so that we have enough space for our young people. Now we have the fund. We are collecting money. We already have collected the first 2.1 billion that in less than 6 months. Okay. So we have now the resources to make sure that we deploy that. But more importantly, Hussein, many people in Kenya are driven into poverty because of sickness, because of illness. Many people are driven into many homes. In fact, some people dread that they are one illness away from poverty. The moment they become ill, their savings are wiped out. And that is why we have come up with a universal health coverage. That is a project of a lifetime. And that project, already we are working on the pilot, the 4 counties. I am very confident that with the lessons learned, by June, we will roll out this program. It will not be easy, but we will make sure that we will walk the journey so that what we did from 2013 to 2017, we raised the number of people on health coverage or health insurance coverage from about 3.8 million households to about 7 million households. Our intention in our manifesto is to take it to 13 million households, which will be basically almost 40 million Kenyans. Right. So finally, really, that's where we are. That's where we are.
Finally, before I give you your leeway to speak to Kenyans as your last remark, KRA was to collect about 1.6 trillion shillings by the end of this financial year. I think just about 3 months to go. We have already only collected 900 billion. The taxman, of course, is under pressure to collect the remaining 700 billion. And people are feeling the pressure from the taxation. And people are talking about this in manufacturing and in our economy generally as putting so much pressure on investors and, of course, killing investor confidence. One of the issues, for example, we've had people who are importing or importers complaining about import duty being raised almost threefold.
You know, the dynamics around our economy are dynamics that change with changing times. We cannot be static on one issue. The Treasury has the leeway and has the infrastructure to determine what parts of our economy to be taxed and what parts should be spared so that we can, as we collect revenue, we don't stifle the economy. We still provide for growth in the economy. And much as we are behind in terms of collecting taxes, but the reality is that government service is proceeding. We are working with what we have, and we are spending it in the right places so that we can get the correct returns. But again, we are carrying out reforms in KRA. I'm sure you're aware, a few days ago, we gave KRA some money for them to be able to enhance their infrastructure so that they can collect more money. And that is a process that is ongoing within government and within the Kenya Revenue Authority.
Okay, finally, there's this text that I have to read. When or where is the 50 million that Deputy President promised Harambee Stars?
That was delivered.
It was delivered. Okay. That's what the Deputy President says. It was delivered. We'll take your word for that because...
Not my word. I thought you heard from the ministry that it was delivered. It was not. It's not me.
I'm just reading a text.
Maybe it's behind news.
So this wasn't your money?
This is government money.
Oh, I see. All right.
You sincerely believe that
Deputy President
would These are Kenyans. This is the Kenyan team. It's not a private entity. Honestly,
okay, from what people saw, and the interpretation was you are giving your own money, 50 million shillings to Harambee Stars. Yeah.
The government of Kenya will
give them 50 million shillings.
I did not say William Ruto will give them 50 million. I mean,
Honorable Deputy President, of course, it's always a pleasure hosting you. Just final word from you to Kenyans.
Thank you very much, Hussein, for hosting me. I want to tell my fellow citizens that going forward, our agenda on the Big Four, our agenda on the transformation of Kenya from the SGR, and the good news, I was speaking to Macharia this evening of transport, is that we have now reached 10 trains every day, both ways, which means 20 trains every day of cargo. When it gets to 12 in a couple of months, we will actually break even. We do not need to go to Treasury to pay the loan. The loan will pay itself, which will be wonderful news, right? So our program on the SGR is a success story. Our road infrastructure is moving on. Our rural electrification program is moving on. Our delivery of dams and ponds and small dams is ongoing, because we have to harvest water and move our agriculture to irrigation. Our program on universal health care is on pilot. The whole of that array of government programs are going on. Okay. I want to persuade Kenyans that we should avoid the noise, the sideshows, the stories, and focus on the development of our nation. And I want to promise them that President Uhuru Kenyatta and I and the Jubilee administration, we are focused on ensuring that our manifesto, the Big Four program, and the transformation of Kenya is on course, because that is the contract that we have between us and the people of Kenya.
That's wonderful. I really wanted that to be the final word, but there's a question here again, a text. First here, somebody says, is your problem or your concern with Raila Odinga unresolvable? Number one. Number two, people are asking here, this is a lady, I have to confess from her name here. She says, do you consider women in your political ambitions for 2022?
Oh yes.
As to run as your deputy, for example?
Oh yes. There is there is an opportunity. I think there is an opportunity for women to participate at that level in 2022.
And you'll be willing to consider one?
Why not?
All right.
You know, I mean, this is if the party that I belong to, we sit down as a party and go through the candidates. If I am the presidential candidate, and we sit down as a party and agree on a woman, why not? In fact, it would be the best news. But on the issue of differences between people, there is no problem. There is no problem that is unresolvable.
You and Raila Odinga, yeah.
There is no problem that is unresolvable. Everything is resolvable. You know, we are citizens of one nation. You know, we can, if we are genuine about our discourse, we can always find a resolution to any issue.
All right, Honorable Deputy President, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you,
and for hosting us at the Hustlers Mansion. Always a pleasure hosting you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. You can keep texting on 22422.
At the future you are constructing, it should look like the future you are dreaming.
Jai here, reporting from WITS FM, a student in WITS Music Concept studying piano. Welcome to WITS Music Concept, where potential is nurtured. We offer training on musical instruments like the piano, the guitar, the drum set, the violin, and the saxophone. We also offer quality voice training. We also offer studio services and training on photography, videography, DJing, events management, studio services. We also do TV and radio broadcasting lessons. We also offer audio recording and video production. Intake is in progress. Get your space now. To reach us, contact us on 0720 264722 or 0724 233865.
What are you waiting for? Come and register with us. Closely at the future you are constructing. It should look like the future you are dreaming.
Jai here, reporting from WITS FM, a student in WITS Music Concept studying piano. Welcome to WITS Music Concept, where potential is nurtured. We offer training on musical instruments like the piano, the guitar, the drum set, the violin, and the saxophone. We also offer quality voice training. We also offer studio services and training on photography, videography, DJing, events management, studio services. We also do TV and radio broadcasting lessons. We also offer audio recording and video production. Intake is in progress. Get your space now. To reach us, contact us on 0720 264722 or 0724 233865.
What are you waiting for? Come and register with us.
Mimi nataka nimpe heshima za kipekee Mheshimiwa Mohamed Ali. Mohamed Ali huyu ni mtu ambaye ametuonyesha ukombozi ndani ya oppressors wa Mombasa na Pwani. Alikuja katikati yao na akawaambia enough is enough, na hivi ndio kutakwenda, na kukaenda. Ni kweli si kweli? Kwa hivyo mimi nataka nimpe kwanza, nimsalute Mohamed Ali, na hivi sasa amedhihirisha kwamba yeye ni mchapakazi. Kweli ama urongo? Nyinyi watu wa Mombasa, nyinyi, sisi hapa tuna shida katika kaunti zote 6 za Pwani. Hii kaunti ya Mombasa ndio iliyojawa na umaskini na uchochole, na anayewafanya hivyo si mwingine ni gavana wenu Ali Hassan Joho. Wakati watu wanatafuta wafadhili kule, yeye anatafuta waimbaji, akiwaletea hapa. Mkishafanya mambo yenu mwende mkakatike viuno. Hata hao wanaoletwa kuingia kwenu katika hiyo miziki pia ni matatizo. Hivi sasa hapa Kisauni, hapa Nyali, vijana wameharibika wakitafuta msaada ili nao waweze kurudi katika hali zao za sawasawa. Hata rehabilitation moja hapa Mombasa hakuna, zilizoko ni za private. Huyo mtu anawapenda kweli? Ye mtu wawise unga gonyata cha kwako nacho kamuna vina maana jo, ana maana ye, kana maana kumala kwenda naye nje. Sasa nataka niwaambie hivi, sisi mnaotuona hapa tumeamua kwa kauli moja kwamba hatumwachilii William Samoei Ruto. sisi ni campaigners wake, lakini kama partners wake ambao watakomboa hii Mombasa pamoja na sisi. Ikiwa kazi hapa Mombasa, hapa poti zimeenda, wanaumia ni kina Karisa peke yao. Onyango wa Mombasa anaumia, Kamau wa Mombasa anaumia, Wambua wa Mombasa anaumia. Kwa hivyo nataka tushikane sisi wote, tukiwa mahasla, hatuna kabila, tunaongea sauti moja ya kukuza uchumi kutoka chini kwenda juu. Tunaelewana? Kwa hivyo nyinyi vijana, nyinyi kwanza, bodaboda power, bodaboda power, bodaboda power. Munamuona huyu deputy president, na waomba tumshikilie, na tumshikilie Mohamed Ali. Hao watakuja, manake saa hii wana kichevuchevu. Mimi juzi nilimsikia hapa anapiga kifua, anasema yeye pia anataka kuwa rais. Mimi leo niko ndani ya Nyali ambao ni kaunti yake, nataka nimwambie Ali Hassan Joho, kama unataka kuwa rais katika taifa hili, kwanza jitoe katika makwapa ya Raila Odinga. Tunaelewana? Ndio tuamini kama wewe umefika. Wewe huwezi kutafuta urais alafu kile ukisimama kwenye jukwaa watuambia baba akisema right, baba akisema left. Ataweza kweli? Ataweza kweli? Anaweza kweli? Kwa hivyo kwa paka ache kunyonya ndio atokelezee, ama vipi? Sisi bwana hata tubeba ufala tena, hata tubeba ujinga tena. Nataka nimwambie mwanamume ni kujituma, kama anavyojituma William Ruto. Hawa wanaume wengine wanangoja endorsement, alafu wanasema Ruto aje atusapoti sisi. Kwani nyinyi mabinti? Wanaume jitumeni bwana, tunaelewana? Mimi nashangaa hii dunia ina matata, nyinyi ina matata sana. Hivi wamewekwa ati wangoja BBI. Nyinyi watu wa BBI, nyinyi mnaijua BBI? Nyinyi hamuijui Itakuwa BBI ni ya Uhuru na Raila Odinga, kweli ama si kweli? Kwa hivyo nataka niwaambie, maadamu hiyo ni yao, na sisi tuna yetu ya wheelbarrow, na sisi tuna yetu ya kuenuana kama mahasla, na hii serikali kwa uwezo wa Mungu tutaunda sisi mahaslas tukiongozwa na chief hasla number 1 ambaye ni William Samoei. Hebu nipe nduru ya Ruto. Hawajasikia huko? Haya, asanteni sana. Sasa watu wa Mombasa, moja nikimalizia, ma-MCAs wetu wamekuwa hapa, na mimi nataka niwaombe tuwashikilie hawa MCAs wetu hawa. Nataka tumwambie gavana hapa Mombasa, huyu Mohamed Ali amekuwa akiattend mikutano ya hawa ndugu zetu hawa wakijiita Machozi Monday, kila Monday. Akaleta motion kule bungeni ya kwamba mahali ilipofika tunasema enough is enough, na huyu mtumwa wao ambaye ni waziri wa transport lazima aende. Alichofanya Joho, alipigia simu vile alivyosema Juneti kwamba ni ng'ombe wa baba, alizipigia zote simu, lakini alishindwa na hapa. Tuelewana? Akazipigia zile za huku Coast na akaziambia, alimwacha nafikiri PK, akaacha Owen, lakini hizo nyingine zilipigiwa zote my friend. Zikaekwa zizini, zikafungiwa, zikakaa, zikanyamaza. Mohamed mswada wake ukaanguka. Ana maana yuya alikuwa iwasaidia nani? Mtu wa pwani. Tuelewana? Kwa hivyo mimi nataka niwaambie, hakuna ng'ombe hapa. Hapa hawa ni watu na akili zao na kura zao. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Kuna ng'ombe ya baba hapa, kuna ng'ombe ya baba hapa.
Kuna watu zaidi yangu. Nasikia kitetemeka tu.
Leo nimekuja kufungua shule hapa kwa Bulo. Nimekuja kufungua shule ya upili ya kwanza katika wodi ya Kazandani. Leo ni siku ya historia. Tangu dunia hii iundwe, pale Kazandani hawajakuwa na public secondary school. Ni leo tumefungua kwa mpango wa Mohamed Ali. Mpigieni makofi jameni huyo muungwana. Tumefungua vile vile shule ya pili ya msingi kule Kazandani ya primary school. Tena the second public primary school in Kazandani ward since independence imefunguliwa leo. Ni siku pia ya historia kwa mpango ya Mohamed Ali. Mpigieni makofi. Na mimi ndio nawaambia watu wa Mombasa, nawaambia watu wa Nyali, vile tunapanga maendeleo ya Kenya, lazima tupange maendeleo ya Mombasa. Wengi walisema hakuna kitu inafanyika Mombasa. Mimi nawauliza, fungueni macho wale ambao wanasema hakuna chochote imefanyika Mombasa. Hii barabara ya Magongo kutoka hapo CPD all the way mpaka kule airport, na baadaye tutasukuma hiyo barabara iwe 6 lane mpaka Mariakani. Hiyo barabara saa hizi inaendelea kujengwa, ni kweli ama si kweli? Tumekamilisha tayari barabara kutoka airport mpaka Port Reitz. Hiyo barabara imekamilika, rais alikuja kufungua nikiwa hapo, ni kweli ama si kweli? Na waambia vile vile, sasa tumepatiana kandarasi ya barabara ya kutoka pale Dongo Kundu iende mpaka Mteza, na itoke Mteza iende mpaka Kibundani, karibu kilomita 20, pamoja na daraja kubwa. Sasa watu wa kule Kwale hawatakuwa wanazunguka kule kwa feri, watakuwa wanapitia hapa, kuna daraja na hakuna msongamano. Hiyo kazi inaendelea kwa saa hizi hapa Mombasa. Mnanielewa jameni? Tuko pamoja? Nilikuja hapa Jomvu, nikaanza barabara ya kutoka pale Jomvu kwenda Jitoni mpaka Rabai. Hiyo barabara ni 70% complete, inaendelea kwa sasa. Ninyi mnanielewa? Nataka niwaambie vile vile, tunajua hapa Nyali kutoka hapa kwa daraja mpaka kule Mtwapa kuna msongamano mkubwa wa magari, ni kweli ama si kweli? Hapa katika barabara yenu hii, mimi niko na habari yenu. Hiyo barabara sasa tumepangia kuipanua iwe lane 4 kutoka hapa kwa daraja mpaka kupita Mtwapa iende mpaka kwa Kashengo. Hiyo barabara tayari serikali ya Kenya tumepata pesa ya kuipanua, ndio tuhakikishe ya kwamba kuna lane 4, tuondoe msongamano wa magari, ndio Mombasa iweze kutembea njia safi. Tunaelewana watu wa Mombasa? Tuko pamoja? Tuko na mpango ya maji tayari. Tuko na awamu ya kwanza ya kutoka Baricho, italeta maji hapa Kisauni, italeta maji hapa Nyali, na itapeleka sehemu kule Jomvu. Hiyo kazi tumeweka shilingi milioni 600 na tutaikamilisha hivi karibuni, ndio iongezeke maji ya kukuja Nyali, iongezeke maji ya kukuja hapa Kisauni. Ndio Kenya hii inapopiga hatua ya kwenda mbele, pia Mombasa inapiga hatua ya kwenda mbele. Wa Mombasa tunaelewana? Tuko pamoja? Mimi nawaambia hivi watu wa Mombasa, nataka tuelewane, kwa sababu tunataka tutembee pamoja safari moja. Kazi hiyo tunafanya ya barabara, kazi ya maji tunafanya, kazi ya stima tunaendesha. Pia tumejenga technical training colleges 2 hapa Mombasa kuungana na zile ziko. Tunajenga moja pale Likoni na tunajenga ingine Changamwe, na zote zimekamilika. Na pia tumeweka vifaa kule, na nimemwambia Mohamed Ali ajipange. Awamu ya pili tutajenga technical training college hapa Nyali, tuhakikishe ya kwamba vijana wa hapa vile vile wanapata nafasi ya kusoma ufundi na teknolojia, kwa sababu hiyo ndio mambo yanahitajika siku za usoni katika kuendesha taifa letu la Kenya. Watu wa Mombasa tuko pamoja? Wanyali tuko pamoja? Ndio mimi nataka niwaambie ya kwamba mimi nimefika hapa makusudi, kwa sababu tunaamini ya kwamba mbali na kujenga barabara tunazojenga, mbali na kujenga reli, mbali na kuunganisha stima na maji, mbali na kujenga technical training college, kuna watu hapa chini mahasla pia na wao wanatakiwa kupatiwa msaada, na ndio nimekuja hapa kuinua mahasla wa bodaboda. Tuko pamoja? Tunaelewana? Na mimi nataka niwahakikishie watu wa Mombasa, wakati tulijenga reli ya SGR, na hiyo SGR tumeisukuma kilomita 700. Nia yetu haikukuwa ni kuharibu biashara ya watu wa Mombasa. Nia yetu haikukuwa ni kuharibu poti ya Mombasa. Nia yetu haikukuwa ni kudunisha uchumi wa Mombasa. Lakini wakora wameingilia hiyo biashara, kwa sababu nia yetu ilikuwa ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunarahisisha usafiri, ndio poti ya Mombasa iwe na mizigo nyingi, clearing time irudi chini, na usafiri utuondoe msongamano barabarani. Mimi nataka niwahakikishie, kwa sababu SGR ilikuwa iambatane na mambo ya free zone ya Dongo Kundu, na hiyo ndio imekwama, kwa sababu Dongo Kundu free zone ndio ingetusaidia kupanua nafasi za kazi na kutusaidia mizigo ambayo ingeingia kwa port, na SGR ndio ingetumika kwa mambo ya raw materials. Mimi nataka niwaambie ya kwamba hiyo kazi ya Dongo Kundu liwe liwalo lazima ianze, ndio tuhakikisha ya kwamba uchumi wa Mombasa inarudi mahali pale port ilikuwa inafanya kazi na kulikuwa na pesa kwa mifuko ya watu wa Mombasa. Tunaelewana watu wa Mombasa? Lazima ukweli usemwe, sio? Na hiyo ndio safari ambayo tunataka tutembee tukiwa sote pamoja. Na kwa sababu tuko na mpango hiyo, mimi nataka niwaambie hivi. Sawa sawa? Mimi nataka niwaambie hivi. Kazi tulipanga, tukasema ya kwamba awamu ya kwanza ya serikali ya Jubilee tuanze na kujenga reli, tujenge barabara, tuunganishe maji na stima, na tujenge technical training college, ndio tuwe na msingi wa kuhakikisha kwamba vijana wanapata kazi na ajira na kufanya biashara. Lakini tumekamilisha hiyo kazi ya awamu ya kwanza. Awamu ya pili ambayo tuliweka mpango wa Big 4 ambayo tungepata nafasi ya kazi kupitia mambo ya housing, na nafasi ya kazi kupitia mambo ya manufacturing na agro processing na value addition. Lakini hapo katikati tuliingizwa na mambo ya dharura, tukaambiwa hiyo sio ya priority, tukaambiwa kuna priority ingine inaitwa BBI. Ndio sasa mambo yale yamekwama, tunasukuma hii ya BBI. Na hii ya BBI tumesukumana nayo miaka 3. Nyinyi wananchi mtaamua. Mimi ninaona watu wa BBI wanajaribu kunilaumu mimi ati mimi nimepinga BBI. Mimi nataka niwaambie marafiki zangu, tafadhali msinilaumu kwa masaibu ya BBI. Nyinyi wenyewe mkuje mueleze mambo ya BBI kwa wananchi. Hawa wananchi hawana nakala, hawa wananchi hawana habari, hawa wananchi hawajasoma BBI. Nyinyi mmesoma BBI? Mmesoma BBI? Sasa wale wanaendesha mambo ya BBI wasijaribu kunitumia mimi kama kizingizio. Wakuje na nakala wapatie wananchi wasome. Ile wananchi wamekataa ni kubebewa akili. Kila mwananchi hapa amekuja na kichwa yake na ako na akili yake, anataka kujisomea. Hawataki kuambiwa, anataka kujisomea. Ama mnataka kuambiwa? Mnataka kusomewa? Mnataka kuambiwa? Mnataka kujisomea wenyewe? Kopi ya BBI mko naye? Kuna mtu hapa amesoma BBI? So mimi nawaambia wale wanaendesha mambo ya BBI, stop using me as an excuse. Please bring copies so that the citizens of this country want to read and understand. Wananchi wanataka kujua katiba inabadilishwa wapi, inabadilishwa kwa sababu gani, na inabadilishwa kwa manufaa ya nani, ndio wananchi hawa waweze kupitisha ama waweze kukwamia. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Tuko pamoja? Wananchi hawa wanasema wajinga wameisha Kenya, wa kusomewa na kuambiwa. Hawa wananchi wanataka kujua, kama mnasema ya kwamba 35% itakuja mashinani, mbona hiyo 35% haijakuja saa hizi? Na katiba ile iliyoko inaruhusu 35%. Imesema minimum 15%. Ikisema minimum 15%, inamaanisha hata unaweza kusambaza 50 or 100%. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Wananchi hawa wanataka kujua kama 15% hii imeshindikana. Saa hizi tuko na deni ya makaunti bilioni 100. Sasa hiyo 35% jameni, itatoka wapi kama 15% imeshindikana kulipwa? Hiyo ndio wananchi hawa wanataka wajue, na wakielezwa vizuri wataamua vile wamepata maelezo. Ama mnasema nini watu wa Mombasa? Si namna hiyo? Wananchi hawa wanataka kujua wabunge wakiongezeka, wabunge wengine 200, kati yao 100 karibu na 40 wa kuteuliwa marafiki ya watu ambao ni wakubwa. Hawa wananchi wanajiuliza, hawa wabunge zaidi 200 itamfaidi mwananchi wa kawaida kwa njia gani? Huyu mwenye hana kazi atafaidika namna gani wabunge wakiongezeka kule bunge? Hiyo ndio wananchi wanataka kujua. Na mimi sijasema napinga BBI, nasema wananchi wanauliza maswali. Tafadhali kujeni mujibu wananchi maswali wako naye, ndio wananchi waamue watafanya kazi gani na BBI ama namna gani. Acheni kutafuta visingizio, acheni kutafuta ni nani wa kulaumiwa, wacheni lawama za bure. Kujeni, leteni nakala, leteni maelezo. Wananchi hawa ni werevu, watajua watapiga left ama watapiga right. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Unaelewana? Mimi nataka niwaambie hivi. Mimi niliwaeleza ya kwamba tutabadilisha mjadala Kenya hii. I told you we are going to change the conversation in Kenya. Kenya hii haiwezi kuendelea eti mambo mjadala ni viongozi, ni mamlaka, ni vyeo. Hapana. Safari hii wakati tunasema ya viongozi, lazima tuseme ya mwananchi mdogo. Wakati tunasema mambo ya mamlaka, pia tuseme empowerment ya vijana wa Kenya. Wakati tunasema vyeo, lazima tuseme nafasi za kazi, ordinary citizens wanapata kazi gani. Nyinyi mnasema tuendelee na kuongea na mambo ya viongozi ama tuongee mambo ya wananchi pia? Mnasema tuendelee mambo ya vyeo peke yake ama tuongee mambo ya nafasi za kazi kwa vijana wa Kenya hawa wadogo? Mnasema tuendelee kuongea mambo ya power na mambo ya mamlaka ama tuongee mambo ya empowerment ya mtu ya bodaboda na ule mwingine wa mkokoteni na ule mwingine wa kusukuma wheelbarrow na ule mwingine wa hapo kinyozi na mtu wa bodaboda na wale wadogo? Mnasema tuongee mambo ya empowerment ama tuongee mambo ya power peke yake? Hiyo ndio nasema Kenya tutabadilisha hii mjadala. It will not continue the way it has continued all these years. Kenya cannot be a discussion only about power and position and the sharing of things that don't exist. Kenya also belongs to the ordinary citizens. As we talk about power, for those who are sharing power, we must talk about empowerment for the ordinary people so that we can lift them up. As we talk about positions and those who share those positions, we must talk about ordinary jobs for ordinary citizens and their children so that they too can become part of the equation in Kenya. As we talk about how to share, we must also talk about how to create more resources and more wealth. Tunaelewana ama tuelewani jameni? Tuko pamoja? Ndio mimi nawaambia hivi. Tunaelewana? Mimi nawaambia ya kwamba safari hii mjadala ishabadilika tayari. Kila mahali Kenya leo, ukienda mkutano huu ama ule, ukisikia kiongozi huyo ama yule, wote wanaangaikia mambo mawili. Wanaangaikia hasla na wanaangaikia wheelbarrow. Na mimi nawaambia mambo bado. Tumefaulu hatimaye kubadilisha mjadala Kenya. Badala ya watu kutuambia mambo ya prime minister, leo wanasema hasla. Badala ya watu kutuambia mambo ya kugawana mamlaka, leo wanasema wheelbarrow. Na hapo ndipo mambo yapo sasa. Watu wa Nyali, tuko pamoja? Tuko pamoja? Nataka munisikize kwa makini. Mimi ninasema ya kwamba lazima tushughulikie mambo ya watu wadogo, kwa sababu hata na mimi nimetoka pale chini. Nasikizeni, watu wengi wananilaumu eti mbona Deputy President anaongea mambo ya watu wadogo. Ati mbona Deputy President anasema mambo ya mkokoteni na watu wa bodaboda. Mimi nawaambia hawa ya kwamba lazima tuambiane ukweli. Mimi nikisimama hapa leo, mimi nilikuwa nauza kuku barabarani siku moja, lakini kwa sababu kuna Mungu mbinguni, leo mimi ni naibu wa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo wewe ulio chini hapo, wewe unayesukuma wheelbarrow, wewe unayesukuma mkokoteni, wewe mtu wa kiosk, wewe mtu ya makanga, na wewe wa bodaboda, ujue ya kwamba kuna Mungu mbinguni. Biashara ndogo tunaweza kuibadilishwa hiyo biashara kubwa kwa bidii na kwa usaidizi wa serikali ya Kenya. Na mimi nataka munisikize vizuri. Wengine wenu mnaniuliza, Bwana Deputy President, hii kazi itafanyika vipi? Tutabadilisha vipi? Mimi nataka niwaambie, tunabadilisha mfumo wa uchumi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Kwa muda mrefu tumefanya economics inaitwa trickle down economics. Yaani watu wachache, biashara chache ndio iweze kuteremka chini, pengine kwa bahati ifikie yule yako chini pale. Lakini tunasema safari hii vile nchi zingine zimefanya, zimewachana na trickle down economics. Nchi zingine wamerudi wakajua ya kwamba siri iko katika bottom up economics. Baada ya kampuni chache pale juu, tufanye kampuni nyingi pale chini. Badala ya watu wachache pale juu, tuweke watu wengi hapa chini. Na ndio tunasema uchumi wa Kenya itabadilika, kwamba tutaweka pesa ya serikali kwa biashara ndogo hapa chini. Tutaweka pesa ya serikali kwa kazi ndogo hapa chini. Tupanue uchumi wa Kenya kutoka hapa chini. Watu wa Freetown tunaelewana? Watu wa Freetown tunaelewana? Mnasema tuendelee na kuweka pesa ya serikali huko juu mngojee chini, ama tuweke pesa ya serikali hapa chini wale wako juu wajipange? Tuendelee na kuanzia juu ama tuanzie chini? Tuanzie chini ama tuendelee na kufanya na juu? Mimi nawaambia hivi, mnisikize vizuri, nataka mniulize maswali baadaye. Sawa sawa? Vile tutaanzia hapa chini ni vipi, nataka niwaeleze. Sawa sawa? Leo nimetoka pale, nimefungua shule imejengwa na pesa ya CDF. Sawa sawa? Jana nilifungua police station imejengwa na pesa ya CDF. Sawa sawa? Leo nimepatiana bus pale, tumefanya pamoja na CDF tukanunua mabasi ya shule. Sawa sawa? Mimi nawaambia hivi, kama serikali tunatoa milioni 100 kila mwaka kwa counties, kwa constituencies zetu, kila constituency milioni 100 ya kuendesha maendeleo ya shule na yale mengine. Tutaunda serikali ya mahasla inshallah kwa mapenzi ya Mungu 2022. Na hiyo serikali, mbali na kuweka pesa ya serikali kwa kujenga mashule, pia kila mwaka tutaweka milioni 100 kila mwaka kusaidia biashara ndogo ndogo. Mtu wa mkokoteni apate pesa afanye biashara, wa kusukuma wheelbarrow apate pesa afanye biashara, yule mama mboga tumpatie pesa ya serikali afanye biashara, yule wa kioski tumpatie pesa ya serikali afanye biashara. Na hiyo pesa si ya bure, ni watu watalipa, lakini haitakuwa na interest. Tukifanya hiyo kazi pale chini, tumsaidie mama mboga, tumsaidie wa mkokoteni na wa kusukuma wheelbarrow na yule mdogo pale, tutapanua uchumi hapa chini, tutaondoa umaskini hapa chini, na Kenya hii itabadilika, kwa sababu kila mtu atakuwa na pesa ya kulipa ushuru ambayo itaendesha taifa letu la Kenya. Mimi nawauliza watu wa Nyali, mnasema tubadilishe mfumo wa uchumi ama mnataka iendelee vile imeendelea siku hizi zote? Nyinyi mko tayari kungojea ile inangojewa kutoka juu, ama mnataka tulete hapa chini muanze nayo hapa chini? Tunaelewana? Na ndio mnasikia watu wengi wamenikasirikia, na watu wengi wako na hasira na mimi. Ati mimi nawaeleza watu wadogo vile wanaweza kubadilika, lakini wao wamezoea kutumia hawa watu kama watumwa. Mimi nataka niwaambie ya kwamba kuna siku mambo yatabadilika katika Kenya hii. Tunaelewana ama tuelewani? Mimi nataka niwaulize watu wa Nyali, kwa sababu nyinyi si watu wadogo, nyinyi watu ambao umekuwa hapa. Mimi hapa 2007 nilifanyia campaign Raila Odinga, nikamsukuma mpaka akakuwa prime minister. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Ule jamaa mwingine Musalia Mudavadi akakuwa deputy prime minister. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Na mimi ndio niliwasukuma na Wakenya wengine wakafikia hiyo vyeo. Mimi hapa nilisaidia rafiki yangu Uhuru Kenyatta, nikamfanyia campaign mpaka akakuwa rais. Ni kweli ama si kweli? 2013 nikamsaidia kufanya campaign mpaka akakuwa rais. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Nikamsukuma 2017 amekuwa rais. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Mimi leo nikisema nataka pia kumsaidia mtu wa mkokoteni na mtu wa wheelbarrow na hawa hapa chini wapate pia nafasi ya kuwa kitu katika Kenya hii. Kuna makosa? Kuna makosa? Kuna makosa? Kama mimi nilikuwa mtu mzuri siku ile nilifanyia Raila Odinga, kama mimi nilikuwa mtu muungwana wakati nilifanyia Uhuru Kenyatta, mbona watu wananikasirikia nikisema tusaidie pia na huyu mnyonge hapa chini? Mimi nawauliza watu wa Mombasa, kuna makosa? Kuna makosa tukisema pia huyu wa chini hapa tumuinue? Mimi nimechochea mtu hapa kwa sababu wanasema ati tukiongea lugha ya mtu mdogo ati ni kuwachochea. Hapa hakuna class war my friend. Mimi nataka wale wanatuletea fitina na ujinga ya kusema ati iko class war Kenya, niwaambie wacheni ujinga. Sisi ni watu werevu. Hakuna class war hapa. Tunasema nyinyi mumezoea win lose, kwa sababu hawa wanatuambia ya kwamba kuna class war. Wanaamini ili kuwe na tajiri lazima kuwe na maskini. Mimi nataka niwaambie hiyo ni siasa duni, hiyo ni mafikra duni. Sio lazima mtu mmoja akose ndio mwingine apate. We have another formula that is different from win-lose that you are operating on. We have another formula called win-win, ile ambaye kila mtu anaweza akafaidika. Sio lazima kuwe na maskini ndio kuwe na tajiri. Hata yule tajiri anataka huyu mdogo awe na pesa, ili akiwa na kampuni huyu awe na pesa ya kununua ile kampuni hiyo inatengeneza. Lakini kama huyu hana pesa, atanunua chochote Kenya? Hapo ndio tunasema wacheni upuzi. There is no class war in Kenya. What we are doing is that we want to lift the bottom so that even the top can be comfortable with a secure bottom that also has the resources, that also pays taxes, and that also moves the country forward. Nyinyi mnanielewa jameni? Kwa hivyo mtu ukisikia mtu anasema ati hii mambo ya mahasla ati ni ya kupiganisha Wakenya, mwambie wewe ni mjinga, wewe huelewi maneno. Nyinyi mnanielewa? Mnanielewa jameni? Tunasema Kenya hii inawezekana tukatembea pamoja. And we need to empower the bottom. We need to empower the ordinary citizen so that they too can pay taxes and we can all move together as a country. Watu wa Nyali tumekubaliana? Watu wa Nyali tuko pamoja? Hebu nione wala wanasema tuko pamoja, tumeelewana, 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 tumeelewana dunia hiyo. Mwisho, mimi nimesikia marafiki zangu wale watu hawana mpango na wale hawana, wale nilisema mbeleni wako clueless na wako planless. Leo wamejaza mambo kwa magazeti. Wanasema eti wanajaribu kunisahihisha. Eti wanajaribu kuwa manyapara wangu. Ati Ruto amekosea hapa, ati Ruto amekosea rais heshima. Mimi nataka niwaambie nyinyi wangwana, my friend, wakati Uhuru alihitaji mtu wa kusimama na yeye 2002, mimi nilisimama na Uhuru, wengine wakatoroka. Wakati Uhuru Kenyatta alitaka mtu wa kusimama na yeye 2013, hata akiwa na kesi ya Hague, mimi hapa nilisimama na yeye, nyinyi mkamtoroka. Wakati yeye alikuwa anahitaji mtu wa kusimama na yeye 2017, nyinyi mlikuwa wapinzani wake, mlisema hafai. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Sasa nyinyi mnanifundisha mimi vile ya kuheshimu rafiki yangu Uhuru Kenyatta, na mimi nimempigia kura mara 3, nyinyi hamjampigia kura hata mara moja. Nyinyi ni matapeli. Matapeli wale si matapeli. Kwa hivyo badala ya kujaribu kunitafutia makosa, marafiki zangu, tafuteni ile mnatafuta kwa polepole. Mimi ninajua hiyo kiarele yote mnafanya, mnatafuta endorsement ya kutoka Rais Uhuru Kenyatta. Lakini mimi niko na wasia kwenu. I have free advice to you guys. Ngojea kijana, ngojea. Mimi I have free advice kwenu. Kama mnatafuta endorsement, tafuta kwa njia ya taratibu, na tafuta kwa njia ya polepole. Wacheni kisirani. Kwa sababu nyinyi munaweza ati kufikiria ya kwamba mtapata endorsement kwa njia gani. Hamukumpigia rais 2002. 2013 mulikuwa wapinzani wake, ati mnasema hafai. 2017 mulikuwa wapinzani wake, mkampinga. Sisi ndio tumefanya hiyo campaign. Sasa nyinyi sijui ni uwerevu gani mnatumia, eti mtu ambaye hamujawahi kumpigia kura, mtu ambaye hamujawahi kumsupport, mtu ambaye mumekuwa wapinzani wake siku zote, leo mumechanganyikiwa kiasi ya kufikiria ya kwamba anaweza kuwaendorse. Nyinyi mnahitaji kupimwa akili. Ama namna gani jameni? Tuko pamoja? Si hawa wangwana ni wakupimwa akili? Kwa sababu sasa wewe, marafiki yangu, kweli dunia hii nafikiri uchawi upo. Kwa sababu ukiona mtu sasa huyu ambaye unatafuta endorsement kwake hujawahi kumpigia kura. Sisi hapa ndio marafiki wa Uhuru Kenyatta. Sisi hapa ndio tumemfanyia campaign. Sisi hapa ndio tumempigia kura. Ati alafu nyinyi mnataka kuja kututia fitina ati hatuheshimu rais kwa sababu nyinyi mnatafuta endorsement. Nyinyi tafuta watu ya kutapeli. Wajinga wameisha Kenya. Tuko pamoja? Tuko pamoja watu wa hapa free area. Free town. Tuko pamoja watu wa Nyali? Mnakubaliana na mimi? Na mimi nataka pia niwapatie free advice. Sawa sawa? Kiongozi Kenya anachaguliwa na wananchi. Mimi nawauliza nyinyi watu wa Nyali, ati wananiambia ati mimi napoteza wakati kuongea na wananchi. Ati wenye kuamua wameketi Nairobi kwa maofisi na kwa baa. Mimi nauliza nyinyi watu wa Nyali, nyinyi ndio wenye kuamua viongozi ama inaamuliwa kwa huko Nairobi? Nyinyi ndio mnaamua? Nyinyi ndio kusema? Hebu nione wanasema sisi ndio kusema. Basi. Sasa wale wengine wajipange. Ama namna gani? Tunaelewana? So, kwa sababu nimefika hapa. Nimesikia nyinyi. Sawa sawa. Kwa sababu nimefika hapa na tunataka kukamilisha mkutano huu, na ninawashukuru sana watu wa Nyali kwa kuwa ni watu watulivu na mumenisikia kwa makini, na ninaamini ya kwamba tutatembea pamoja safari hii. Mimi nataka niwaambie hivi, asanteni sana. Mimi nitarudi hapa tena na tena na tena na tena na tena mpaka Mombasa ibadilike.
At the future you are constructing, it should look like the future you are dreaming.
Die here, reporting from WITS FM, a student in WITS Music Concept studying piano. Welcome to WITS Music Concept, where potential is nurtured. We offer training on musical instruments like the piano, the guitar, the drum set, the violin, and the saxophone. We also offer quality voice training. We also offer studio services and training on photography, videography, DJing, events management, studio services. We also do TV and radio broadcasting lessons. We also offer audio recording and video production. Intake is in progress. Get your space now. To reach us, contact us on 0720 264722 or 0724 233865.
What are you waiting for? Come and register with us. Closely at the future you are constructing. It should look like the future you are dreaming.
Jai here, reporting from WITS FM, a student in WITS Music Concept studying piano. Welcome to WITS Music Concept, where potential is nurtured. We offer training on musical instruments like the piano, the guitar, the drum set, the violin, and the saxophone. We also offer quality voice training. We also offer studio services and training on photography, videography, DJing, events management, studio services. We also do TV and radio broadcasting lessons. We also offer audio recording and video production. Intake is in progress. Get your space now. To reach us, contact us on 0720 264722 or 0724 233865.
What are you waiting for? Come and register with us.